Coming up on Fulton Today, voters head back to the poll and primary election runoffs. We'll have details on early voting locations. And the newest citizen ambassadors get set to spread the good news about Fulton County. Fulton Today is next.
From the Government Center in downtown Atlanta, you're watching Fulton Today with Shania Chavis.
Welcome to Fulton Today, everybody. I'm Shania Chavis. Early voting for the primary runoff elections starts this week. Now, county, city, and state races where candidates did not get 50% plus one of the vote are on the ballot again. Rick Barron is the Registration and Elections Chief. Sir, welcome back to Fulton Today.
Hi, Shania. Thanks for having me.
All right, first things first, let's tell everybody about the early voting locations.
Early voting does start this week. We're going to have 3 locations open this week and next week. Those locations will be Fulton County Government Center, the North Annex, and the South Annex. In week 3, we are going to add 6 more locations. That is going to be at the Adamsville Recreation Center, East Point Library, Northside Library, OC Library, Roswell Library, and the Fairburn Library.
And Rick, how long are these locations going to be open?
The locations will be open June 30th through July 18th. We will, however, observe Independence Day on July 4th. The hours of operation will be 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. during those 3 weeks.
And if citizens did not vote in the May 6th election, can they still vote in the runoff election?
Yes, they can vote in the runoff as long as they were registered to vote by April 21st.
And sir, anything else you want to add before you go?
Voters are able to apply for absentee ballots up until July 18th. They also need to have those ballots returned to us by July 22nd. In addition, when voters go to their respective polling locations, whether it be during early voting when they can vote anywhere, or on election day when they have to vote in their own precinct, they need to bring some sort of photo identification. That can be either driver's license, tribal ID, military ID, any kind of government issued ID, or if they need some voter identification, they can come to our office and we can provide that for them.
All right, Elections Chief Rick Barron, always great information. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Now, if you have questions about your voting location or ID requirements, you can call Registration and Elections. That number 404-730-7020. MARTA's General Manager and Chief Operating Officer lays out the transit system's map for the future. Keith Parker made his presentation before the Board of Commissioners. First things first, he briefed the body on the budget.
So the FY15 budget, which was just adopted by the Board of Trustees just a couple of weeks ago, includes over $400 million in operating. Thankfully, it's a balanced budget again. MARTA had only balanced the budget a couple of times in the previous 15 years. This will now be our 3rd consecutive balanced budget. No fare increase in FY14 or 15, restoring some of the services that have been cut in the previous 5 years. We're adding dozens of new police officers and other security personnel to the system, and additional service agents as well. You'll be seeing them throughout the MARTA train service particularly.
The transit system will also make improvements with on-time performance and aesthetic improvements to the stations.
We will be moving along on the building of our new Brady Garage. That's the facility to be used to take care of all the vehicles for folks who have disabilities that prevent them from using the regular fixed route bus and train service. Major rehabs on elevators and escalators, and I'll talk more about those in a minute. Some restroom renovations, and very importantly, new vehicles, which I'll also talk about.
The transit system is also extending rail service hours and increasing its police presence. The CEO explained that MARTA is the 2nd safest large transit system in the country. MARTA is funded through a 1-cent sales tax collected in Fulton, DeKalb, and the city of Atlanta. Fulton County Animal Services need your help. They are overflowing with pets that need a home right now. Lara Hudson is with Lifeline Animal Project and handles Fulton's animal services. Ma'am, welcome to Fulton Today.
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
Well, we want to talk about that overcrowding situation, but first we want to talk about The number of recent cases of animal cruelty in the community that we've been hearing all about, what's going on? Are you all seeing an increase or a decrease?
I don't think we've noticed so much an increase in animal cruelty as an increase in the awareness that it is happening and that it is illegal, and people are more concerned about it than previously. Well, we do see a bit of that with all types of animals because people in Fulton County mostly have cats and dogs. Of course, statistically, we would see more reports of cruelty for cats and dogs.
And are you talking about just cats and dogs or other kinds of animals as well?
Yes, well, when we get a phone call from a citizen reporting animal cruelty, we send out an officer to investigate. We also have a backup cruelty task force in case it seems like they're going to need a little bit more assistance than what would be a normal call for a service like that. We do prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. There are fines involved and/or jail time for animal cruelty in Fulton County.
And what is the law regarding animal cruelty cases?
We have a very strong law in the state of Georgia, and our county ordinances are also very good, in my opinion. You cannot cruelly treat an animal, you cannot maim an animal, you cannot deprive an animal of food or water or shelter. You cannot withhold medical attention if an animal needs medical attention. You cannot keep an animal in the hot sun with no cover over it. You cannot obviously injure an animal or maim an animal. And depending on the degree of severity of the cruelty would be whether or not we would prosecute that at a misdemeanor level here with the county ordinance, or we would bump it up to the state court depending on the evidence that we have, the strength of our case, and the severity of the case.
And now let's talk about that overcrowding issue. How many animals do you have in the shelter?
Have about 400 cats and dogs, and I believe we have a couple of sheep there now. It's very crowded. We are doing our very best from morning till night trying to save as many animals as we can, and we need people to come out and adopt and get the word out that we are the county animal shelter and we are trying to save lives. And if you're interested in adopting or even fostering an animal or a cruelty case animal, to please give us a call and help us. We're working very hard to save them, but we're very, very full.
And a lot of folks may not know that you offer some free services in order to encourage them to adopt. Talk about that.
Yes, we do. We offer very low-cost services, just what it costs us to implement. For example, if your animal is microchipped, which we do at the shelter for a nominal fee, we can get that animal back home to you immediately. There would be no fine involved if the animal were picked up by animal control. You wouldn't have to come down to the shelter and pick up your animal from impound, which is also an impound fee that's assessed at that point. And best of all, we can get your animal home to you very, very quickly. We carry scanners in our trucks so that when one of our officers comes across an animal, they can scan it immediately and we can get your pet back home safely.
Well, Ms. Hudson, with the Lifeline Project at Fulton County Animal Services, thanks again for your help.
Great. Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Now, if you want to know more about adopting a pet, you can call 404-613-0358 or stop by the shelter and get an up-close look at what could be your next best friend. Fulton commissioners and residents joined the milestone anniversary for a very popular county program. These 22 students are the 2014 graduates of Citizens University. For 12 weeks, the students have gotten an up-close look at a number of different county departments and agencies, from balancing the budget to public safety. Each week, the students visited different county departments to see their tax dollars at work. Diplomas were awarded to all of the students. 3 received magna, summa, and cum laude honors for essays on the program. FCCU founder Commissioner William Bill Edwards had special remarks for the graduates.
I leave you with a desire to get involved. Do not take a backseat. Because if we continue to take a backseat, the things that happened to us in the legislature this year will continue to happen to us as we go forward. Meet that monster where he is. Tell them that you're not going to take it. Tell them that you're going to stand up for what's right. Let them know that you're in control. And a will to take control. Not to wait till somebody else comes up with something. When you leave here tonight and tomorrow, I want you to think for yourself, what can I do? How can I make this different? How can I take on what I have learned?
The commissioner also announced that the popular program would continue under new leadership.
Commissioner Gardner said she will pick up this flag.
One student called the program a commitment well worth making.
Overall, very informative and very enlightening. Learned a whole lot about the people behind the scenes, what they're doing to make my life better as a resident of Fulton County.
243 students have participated in the interactive program since it started in 2004. And still to come, the sound of music fills one senior facility. We'll tell you all about it in our district-by-district coverage next.
You're watching Fulton Today.
The public sees for themselves just what a demonstration garden really is. That story and much more in this week's District by District coverage. In District 4, the Youth Ensemble of Atlanta performs at the Benson Senior Multipurpose Facility. The premier African-American youth theater company provides a cultural and creative outlet for young people to express themselves. On this day, the group made up of 8 to 24-year-olds performed in front of a much older crowd.
The message pretty much is, you know, rise above all the stereotypes, rise above what people say that you're supposed to do, rise above what society may have put you in a box, rise above it, be bigger than that.
I was kind of surprised, actually, because I didn't know what I was going to see. But I thought that it was very enjoyable, and I would have liked to have seen more of it if I could.
The Youth Ensemble of Atlanta has more than 70 young members who use performances to personally express their feelings about the world around them. In District 5 this week, a look at the visual arts exhibition at the Fulton County Aviation Community Cultural Center. In particular, the digital print installation by Michael Reese titled A Force Proportional to Their Masses. The artwork pays homage to the feats of early African American aviators who overcame gravity to achieve flight as they also struggled for civil rights.
I wanted to have the work represent what the aviators actually had to overcome, scientifically, and then what they had to overcome socially. And so, hence the name, A Force Proportional to Their Masses, speaking to both, what you have to do to overcome flight, and early on, what they had to do to fly, to overcome, the social pressures. Early on, when I was a child, I wanted to be a pilot. And so it's a dream come true project and a marriage of long passions that I've had and my current passion, which is art and photography.
The collection also inspires youth to pursue careers in aviation. It also reflects the history of the center's neighborhoods of Carroll Heights, Fairburn Heights, and Adamsville. In District 6, the Center for Civil and Human Rights officially opens its doors. Commissioner Joan Garner joined in the public celebration of the highly anticipated facility. Located in downtown Atlanta, the Center for Civil and Human Rights is an engaging cultural attraction that connects the American Civil Rights Movement to today's global human rights movement. The center features thought-provoking exhibits with artifacts from Dr. King and the entire civil rights movement.
I especially want to make sure that our young people experience this facility, this building, and all of the exhibits. It will certainly bring such a level of awareness to how important it is for citizens to be engaged and to speak out and to let their voices be heard.
You can learn more about the center at civilandhumanrights.org. And finally, in District 7, the public gets a personal tour of the demonstration garden at the South Fulton Maintenance and Operations Center. Commissioner William Bill Edwards, along with staff from the county's Department of Water Resources, showed off the plants to seniors and kids. The garden, located in front of the water facility, is the result of a settlement agreement with the Georgia Environmental Protection Division. The county was able to use a portion of the settlement funds associated with sanitary sewer overflows for this particular project.
The purpose really was to demonstrate things that people could actually do at home, number one. Secondarily, we wanted them to teach them about the role of the importance of pollinators in our society, really, because pollinators are really going out, and so we want to teach them about the things that they can do to attract pollinators back into their homes and in their gardens, so that therefore we can continue the actual food cycle.
Not only do pollinators help in natural systems, but they help produce our vegetables and our fruit trees and our honey and everything like that. And by planting pollinator gardens like this one, we help encourage the population of pollinators.
The kids enjoyed arts and crafts while at the tour, and one Eagle Scout in the making even built a birdhouse. To check out the garden for yourself, stop by the facility at 7472 Cochran Road in College Park. And still to come, looking for fresh and affordable produce? Cooperative Extension's farm stand is open for business. We'll tell you where.
You're watching Fulton Today.
Tattoo and body piercing parlors will soon be facing tougher health guidelines. Fulton health professionals are now holding information sessions so that owners know exactly what to expect. FGTV's Lynn Vaughn has the story.
Information sessions for body art shops are underway. Then comes the enforcement.
We will have ongoing monthly education sessions and training sessions about the body artist requirements throughout 2014 and 2015.
In January, the Board of Commissioners approved an ordinance that requires tattoo and body piercing shops to be licensed and to follow strict guidelines from the health department. So now the county is educating owners about the changes. When the training ends, inspectors will start making sure the parlors are in compliance.
Once we continue past this education portion, there will be an enforcement section where we will start enforcement, and if a facility fails an inspection, then there will be some enforcement action to close that facility. So that is an option down the road once we've passed the education portion.
The new rules prohibit the reuse of tattoo needles and requires the use of disposable razors. Shop owners will be required to pay a fee of up to $500 to operate. Each artist will pay a $100 fee. Take a course developed by the health department, pass an OSHA examination, and get a physical to make sure they don't have any blood-borne diseases.
Most of the owners are positive about the feedback that we have received, and we're looking forward to working with them.
For the most part, we're already doing everything that's being talked about, with the exception of a few things that we're discussing changing.
Both the county and the shop owners say these changes will not only help the customers, but the entire tattoo and body piercing industry. Reporting for FGTV, I'm Lynn Vaughn.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Well, there is a new way for residents to get fresh, affordable produce this summer. This year, Cooperative Extension started its Fulton Farm Stand in College Park with the help of local farmers. The stand was opened at Camp Fulton Truett 4-H Center on Herschel Road after residents said they wanted a farmer's market in their area.
We started with a survey of the community, of the South Fulton community, to find out where they would want to house a farmer's market. So Camp Truett was the location that was picked, and so we decided to actually start with one farm stand before we try to expand it to a farmer's market to see if the community would support it.
The stand is only open Thursdays from 4 to 7 p.m. You can call 404-762-7085 for more info on the stand. County workers waited in line to help save lives. The American Red Cross hosted its quarterly blood drive in the Fulton County Government Center, where people gave 76 pints of blood.
I started several decades back. I think it was in college the first time I gave blood. And through that process, they informed me I have a special blood type. It's called CMV negative. It's blood that can be given to children and babies. So that kind of heightened my awareness and the priority to give blood.
The Red Cross says 1 pint can save up to 3 lives, so every donation is important.
We're encouraging all donors to come out and donate because we are in the summer, we are in a shortage, and we can always use every extra pint that we could possibly get.
If you want to help save a life by giving blood, go to redcrossblood.org. And still to come, library patrons get a taste of the Caribbean without ever leaving Atlanta. We'll explain.
You're watching Fulton Today.
County youngsters get official identification made that's preferred by law enforcement agencies all across the country. Partners with the Operation Safe Kids program set up shop in the OC Branch Library in Johns Creek. The program uses leading technology to produce the information needed in case a child ever goes missing. The documents created at the OC Branch can later be massed, reproduced for local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies if the child ever goes missing.
The Secret Service has been involved with Operation Safe Kids since 1997. It's a program that promotes safety for children by providing parents with documentation that they can take away with fingerprints, biographical information, and also fingerprints.
Officials say having the information readily available is key when every second counts in a missing person's case. And finally, the library system wraps up another successful Caribbean Film Festival. During Caribbean Heritage Month, the library showed films and held several book signings. This festival at the Central Library featured the new book, Plantation Church: How African American Religion Was Born in Caribbean Slavery.
The Caribbean community and non-Caribbean members of the community are craving this program and have asked me to continue with this.
The goal of Caribbean Heritage Month is to honor America's diversity and remember Caribbean immigrants who helped shape America. For information, go to afpls.org. And before we go, our reminder that we'd like to hear from you about the stories and programs right here on FGTV. Go to our website to take a survey. You can also email us at fgtv.feedback@fultoncountyga.gov. You can also follow us on twitter.com/FGTV, friend us on Facebook, and watch us on YouTube. Well, that does it for this edition of Fulton Today. I'm Shania Chavis. Thank you for joining us. Join us each week for news around and about Fulton County.